And for more on Mexico's economy, I sat down with Ruben Olmos, managing partner at Global Nexus. I began by asking about the country's new finance minister.
José Antonio Meade, the new finance minister, is somebody who was already finance minister with former President Felipe Calderón from a different party, the PAN.
And business really likes him.
Business really likes him. He was foreign minister at the beginning of President Peña Nieto's administration, somebody who understands how the world is working. He's very close also to our central bank governor. That helps a lot. They have a very good relationship. And I think that financial actors worldwide recognize in him somebody who's going to be very responsible and straightforward advising the president.
You know, when Mr. Videgaray was, I guess you could say, terminated in terms of his position, a lot of that talk was in conjunction with his role in bringing Donald Trump to Mexico. But the reality is also that the economy was not flourishing under his stewardship. Do you believe, or do the markets believe, that Mr. Meade will be a better steward of the financial reforms and the structural reforms that Mexico is trying to do?
Former Finance Minister Videgaray has always been President Peña Nieto's closest friend and advisor. That's why he was in that position. For many months, for many years, they even said jokingly that he was the vice president of Mexico. That's how close he was, and he still is, to President Peña Nieto. I think that he tried to follow a very disciplined economic plan, but obviously the external factors did not help. President Peña had to make changes to his cabinet because that's what happens usually in Mexico before the administration ends. President Peña Nieto has a little bit over 2 years in office, and this is when the political structure starts moving for what's coming up.
So this was a bit of a natural progression.
It was a bit of a natural progression. Obviously, the visit of Donald Trump did not help at all because everything happened in his office under his watch, and obviously the Mexican media in general blame Mr. Videgaray for advising President Peña on this trip.
Now, the reality, though, is we just had the IMF fall meetings. They did cut their projections for Mexican growth. The Mexican government has done the same. What is it going to take for the Mexican economy to grow faster than 2.5%?
Recognizing how difficult the political situation is around the world and the volatility in Mexico's key markets, I think Secretary Meade is going to have to be very responsible. He has announced major budget cuts. It's funny, but the next day he started his new post, that's when he presented to Congress the budget for 2017. Major cuts are occurring in all sectors. Unfortunately, you're going to have that the Ministry of Communications and Transportation, which is the one involved in investing in infrastructure, is going to get a big hit.
Oh.
So that's going to affect, obviously, how the market is moving. Another huge cut is going to come in education, which is also unfortunate. Yeah. Mexico remains a country with many challenges on the social aspect. So again, Secretary Meade doesn't have an easy job ahead. I think he's going to have to wait and see what happens in the United States. Another area is obviously trade. Mexico is a country that's part of the negotiation of TPP, and President Peña has announced that as soon as a vote takes place in Washington, his government will follow, and hopefully the Mexican Congress follows as well.
But we don't see any sign of the U.S. Congress passing that trade pact. So what does that put, I mean, what's the way out for Mexico in that case?
Mexico is trying to look at other markets. You know,
what would be the best option
again,
for them?
I have to insist that NAFTA remains the #1 free trade agreement for us. As you probably know, Mexico has also have a free trade agreement with Europe, but with the United Kingdom's exit, there's talk about that being open to negotiate again. With Latin America, we have strong partners through the so-called Pacific Alliance with Chile, with Colombia, and with Peru. But again, it's a very, very new market. Again, at the end of the day, I would say that the countries in the Pacific Alliance wanted to negotiate with Mexico because of Mexico being part of NAFTA. So hopefully, whoever wins the election in November here in the United States understands the importance of this relationship. This goes beyond the negative narrative that Donald Trump has brought to the table. This is a historic economic and business relationship, and both the U.S. business and the Mexican business remain very close, and they're very worried with all this negative narrative.
Is there any benefit to Mexico to renegotiating NAFTA, though?
You know, it's a very good question. That has been brought up in various sectors in Mexico, the business sector and the government, and they all say that this would open the Pandora's box.